Over the last 10 years, the city of Napa has experienced a surge of activity in renovation of historic structures and development of new private structures and public spaces along the Napa riverfront. This downtown riverfront rebirth has been a long-time vision of the city of Napa and its redevelopment agency, and has taken decades to accomplish. Before this rebirth could begin, a major problem had to be overcome. Napa has experienced 22 serious floods since 1862. Downtown Napa took the brunt of the damage with a creek and a river that topped their banks on a frequent basis, as pictured here in 1905, and as seen here in 1940. In 1955, another flood enveloped Napa, and people began to say it was about time somebody did something about the flooding that continued to plague the city. Voters rejected flood project proposals in 1976 and 1977 in objection to the designs. And then came the flood of 1986. Once again, the city was inundated. Significant damage and loss of life galvanized a group of citizens called the Community Coalition to work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and develop a plan that voters would support. In 1998, the public responded favorably. Downtown Napa's riverfront rebirth was cultivated when Napa County voters approved a half-cent sales tax to provide the local share of funding for the Napa River-Napa Creek Flood Protection Project. The plan for the flood project started at the south end of the city, where wetlands and terraces were created. Moving north, upstream on the river, the project continued into the downtown area, where bridges were replaced and where a unique bypass channel is to be excavated in the future. Along the route, flood walls are being added, and a 6-mile river trail is being integrated into the flood project protection measures. What did all this mean for downtown Napa? Redevelopment Agency officials understood that it was time to seize a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to guide the design of the public improvements within the downtown reach of the flood protection project, starting with the restoration of the historic Napa Mill, located at the southern end of the downtown reach of the flood project. In 1998, the Redevelopment Agency entered into an owner participation agreement with the Napa Mill owners to renovate and restore the historic structure and construct 2 complementary new buildings. The property has been vacant since the 1970s. The agency provided a $180,000 gap loan, which the developer repaid in full, and the agency provided a $160,000 grant. Today, the property includes 65 hotel rooms, 3 restaurants, a cafe, nightclub, and specialty retail. The agency's grant secured a public plaza complete with new public art and restrooms for users of the public river trail. The northern end of the downtown reach is anchored by the historic Kaiser Louis Williams buildings. The Redevelopment Agency acquired the block in the 1980s with the intent to redevelop, but that failed to occur. So in the 1990s, the agency solicited developer interest and negotiated a disposition and development agreement for the historic preservation of the buildings. After a complete seismic retrofitting and restoration of the buildings, the property reopened in 2000, in time for a 5.0 earthquake that caused very little damage to these buildings. Today, some of Napa's best-known restaurants and retail shops bring the buildings to life. Efforts to save and restore the historic Napa Valley Opera House began in the mid-'80s. The Redevelopment Agency provided a facade restoration grant to help generate private interest in that restoration effort. Once restoration began, the Redevelopment Agency provided a seismic retrofit grant, and today the Opera House is a showcase for live entertainment of all kinds and a key gathering place for the community. Redevelopment Agency staff guided extensive public participation processes to develop guidelines and policies to shape the downtown riverfront. The 3 key policy documents noted here were prepared with the volunteer help of Napa's business community and residents, who collectively attended 25 meetings and 11 community workshops. The agency sponsored an urban design plan for the public improvements that would be constructed within the downtown reach as part of the flood project. The plan ensured that the public components of the project make a positive architectural contribution to Napa's historic downtown. One of the first bridge replacements for the flood project was the 3rd Street Bridge. This older concrete bridge had some classic design features the community wanted to incorporate into the new bridge, such as arches in the deck and in the concrete railing and historic light fixtures. The new bridge had to be much higher and longer and had to meet current Caltrans design standards. But with a set of strong architectural design principles, the new bridge set the tone for the aesthetics of the improvements yet to come. Everything from the color of concrete, pedestrian overlooks, light fixtures, color of metal features, concrete scoring, dimensions of pilasters, and other architectural components are detailed in the urban design plan and carried throughout the public riverfront spaces. We were presented with significant design challenges. How do you make a facility whose primary purpose is to contain floodwaters also attractive and functional for other uses? Veterans Park will fill with water up to the line of protection during a 100-year flood, and there are federal restrictions regarding placing vertical objects in the floodway, such as trees and lights. Veterans Park has always been a central gathering place and a venue for special events. Napa had an opportunity to make it so much more inviting and functional. And yet, it can be done, and it was done. The new park gently terraces to the river. While physically smaller than its predecessor, it's designed in an amphitheater style, with seat walls and a performance area. As a result, people love it. The park has become a more attractive venue and gathering space and hosts a strong lineup of special events during the summer, including Friday night music concerts, Saturday night movies, and annual events such as the Napa River Festival, shown here, and celebrations like Mexican Independence Day. The Napa River Trail will extend 6 miles from the south end to the north end of the city. In the downtown area, the trail takes on an urban character and is called the Riverfront Promenade. Rather than have a massive flood wall in the heart of downtown, the community requested the wall be broken in two, so now there is a lower-level promenade and an upper-level promenade. The lower level will fill with water, so all trees, lights, and furnishings are restricted to the upper level. This is the upper-level promenade just days after its completion. It's not yet open to the public, but it soon will be. The agency developed a downtown mixed-use and residential infill strategy adopted in 2004, which facilitated downtown's first residential mixed-use project on a vacant infill site. This project is called the Riverfront. The redevelopment agency led the coordination of public and private projects building in each other's vicinity. In this instance, the Army Corps of Engineers was in the process of building flood walls and a portion of the Riverfront Promenade when the private developer broke ground on the mixed-use project behind the flood walls. The Downtown Riverfront Development and Design Guidelines ensured a high-quality, river-oriented design and architectural components for the mixed-use project. The riverfront includes 2 levels of underground parking, 50 homes, 30,000 square feet of Class A office space, and 44,000 square feet of retail space. Leasing and sales are going very well, despite the difficult economy. To provide for existing and new parking demand the area would experience, the city and county partnered with 3 private developers to construct a new 480-space parking structure on a surface parking lot owned by the county. The redevelopment agency contributed bond funds to the design and construction to ensure a certain number of spaces to be available to the public. One key element of the flood protection project is the future bypass channel. The early concept plans for the bypass channel left a lot to be desired. The channel, which passes under 2 bridges, will convey floodwaters in high flood events, so the sides will be armored and the bottom will fill with mud and debris, posing some major design challenges. This 12-acre property is too critical to ignore, so the redevelopment agency took the lead in working with the community to prepare a schematic design providing for seasonal recreational opportunities, pedestrian and bicycle linkages, special events and overflow parking, and aesthetically pleasing design, much like the images you see here. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is now incorporating this plan into final design plans. The projects outlined in this award application, shown here in yellow, illustrate just a part of the story and focus on one side of the river in downtown. The agency has been involved in facilitating numerous other development activities on the riverfront east of the downtown reach, some of which are shown in light blue. Over $571 million is planned for or has been spent since 1998 on public and private construction projects downtown, with 80% coming from private investment.